Hey, what's up people? Today I want to talk about 5 folders that I really enjoy right now using at this time. And yeah, let's just go into it. So the first one being the Victorinox Cadet that I actually refell in love with this knife not too long ago. It's actually one of the smaller blades that Victorinox makes. Here would be like a Victorinox Climber. It's like the normal sized Victorinox blade that you probably all know and hopefully also like. This is just a little bit smaller, from the blade length, just like I don't know, 6.3 centimeters, 2.4 inches. So you can see this is the Climber is the full toolbox basically with the scissors, not the full toolbox, it doesn't have the saw, but you can see the Cadet is a lot thinner and also a lot lighter. So it's like 48 grams, 1.6 ounces. It's one of those knives that you don't really notice carrying, especially if you carry it like on your hip with like a belt loop and a carabiner. By the way, these Travex carabiners are so awesome. I don't get paid to say that, but that's just how I feel. These are really nice. And so it's a small knife, good secondary blade, if you don't want to scare anybody around you. Also very socially acceptable, especially here in Europe. The secondary blade, secondary tool here looks like a pen blade, but it's actually a file. And then you have like your standard bottle opener, screwdriver, and your can opener that also serves as a screwdriver. And I don't really use those other tools, but the secondary blade I actually use. That's a secondary blade. Why do I always say that? I don't know. But the blade here I use a lot as a secondary blade. That's what I meant. So yeah, I have a little lanyard on here. Great knife. I really like it. This one is the standard silver version. Costs like 20 euros here in Europe. Not very expensive. And other than like the limited editions of the aluminum, the A-logs, handle scales, this goes a lot, goes well with a lot of other things. Other than, the most of the anodized versions you have to match with whatever you're carrying except you don't really care, but if you like, have matching stuff, the plain silver version is good because it matches with almost anything. So anyways, this is the Cadet. Next knife is also a small knife. It's the Spyderco Chaparral, which the Chaparral I have owned for quite a while now, but actually I almost wanted to sell it, and now I ended up really liking it actually. So it's a great knife in my opinion. I had the Delica, which the Delica is a little bit larger. So I don't know, size-wise this fits in like the Dragonfly is a smaller knife. Then there's this one, and then the Delica Sage series, 85 series are a little bit larger. And so this has like, what's the blade length on here? 7 centimeters, 2.7 inches. Not a big knife. And I personally, I like larger knives. Usually I carry, things like this, like a Recon 1 here. So you can see there's a huge size difference. And I just like, 10 centimeter blade length, 4 inches. But this is one of the first small knives that I actually really enjoy. And the biggest reason for that is that's actually very thin and very slicey. So you have like a 1.8 millimeter blade stock thickness. And after I've resharpened this like 2 or 3 times now, I don't know, and has like 7 thousandths behind the edge, which is 0.19 millimeters, so almost 2 millimeters or 0.2 millimeters behind the edge thickness. So very thin actually. I have actually ever so slightly convexed my edge, and this just laser beams through any material. It's just amazing. And the CTS XHP holds an edge for a really long time, so you can restrop it actually numerous times before you have to resharpen it. And that's just great. It's just a great user. And you can see I've acid washed my pocket clip, so it's not as reflective. Build quality on these are excellent. They are from, Taichung, Taiwan. And I don't know, it's just a great knife. A lot of people say this outperforms like the Spyderco Delica, which I said I also Did I already mention that? I don't know. But the Delica also owned, and I had a couple of problems with it, but actually, now that I traded it a long time ago, I actually miss it. And I think this is a completely different knife to a Delica, or Native, or Sage, or whatever. Just a very different knife. It's not really comparable. So I almost feel like that these have a little bit too small of a blade, of a cutting edge. But the because the finger choil on Spyderco knives take up quite a big space of the blade. So for example, a knife that you can see this very well is the Spyderco Manix, where the cutting edge is like 1/3 of the knife and the handle is like 2/3 of the knife. So the blade to handle ratio is very unbalanced on a lot of Spydercos, which I don't say that the Spyderco Manix is bad, it's a fantastic knife. But sometimes I feel like they overdo it with finger choice. On this knife you actually need it because the handle is kind of short. So anyways, it's a great knife either way, and I will not sell this. It's not the best fidgeting knife, you know, if you like fidgeting with your folders. This is not this is just a pure worker, and it's pure performance, and you know, that's just awesome. Great little knife. So speaking of CTS XHP, we have the Cold Steel Code 4, which is also a fantastic knife. This one, like I said, is CTS XHP. It's the old version. Has a hollow grind. I think the new S45VN versions still have the hollow grind. I personally prefer the CTS XHP for numerous reasons. I think it holds an edge better. Actually, I don't just think that it holds an edge better. It's like that, and I don't know, I just like it better. And yeah, this blade shape is awesome. This is the spear point version in this case. So it has a really long swedge here. Still a very robust tip. I have done videos with this where I pried nails, so this is very sturdy knife, both from the mechanism and from the blade shape. Still the hollow grind gives you, you know, the amount of resharpenings, a lot of, you know, resharpenings before you actually kill that blade, but it's not too thin behind the edge, but it's just robust. It's a robust hollow grind that just works well. And yeah, a really good working knife. If you do construction work or you work on a farm, something like that, this is an awesome knife. By the way, I apologize for my knives being a little bit dirty here and there. This is just cardboard and tape and, you know, some wood. That's just how it is. I do not always have the time to clean up my knives before I show them to you, but, you know, if I can, I do it. But, you know, that's just how a knife is supposed to look anyway, so who cares, right? Yeah, great knife, great blade shape. The you know, cutting edge to, you know, overall knife ratio is really good, so I have no problems there. The handle is a little bit thin, you know, if you really work on this knife, these handles can get a little bit too thin in hand, but it carries well. It's wide in the pocket, but you don't really notice that too much because of the, you know, the overall thinness. And I also acid washed the clip on here, and to make it less reflective, you know, if I live in a city, I go, you know, through public transportation systems a lot, so I don't want everybody to know that I have a knife on me, so there's that. But you know, Cold Steel Code 4, great working knife, really, you know, good value also on these, so never can go wrong with something like this. And next up, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I usually carry this, you know, during spring to autumn, you know, because in winter aluminum scales get cold really fast, and I don't really like that. But other than that, great knife. So speaking of cold steel, we have the Cold Steel Towelbar. This is the large version, so it has like 10 centimeters in blade length, which is 3.9 inches, and it's a great knife. It's no longer in production, so it's a discontinued Cold Steel. And I think this is one of my oldest Cold Steel folders that I own. This is still the AUS 8 version, and the logo should be a little bit, actually should be black on this, but I actually once accidentally rubbed it off. But so it's not a fake Towelbar. It's just I rubbed off that logo etching. I don't know how I did that. I have this knife for a really long time, and yeah, Cold Steel's AUS 8 was never my favorite you know, I think there are a lot of companies that do a much better job on their AUS 8. Other than that, it's a great blade, it's a great slicer, it's actually quite thin, it's like 0.3 millimeters behind the edge, so 12 thousandths, not too bad, you know, for a production knife. And standard G10 construction, triad lock. You know, the triad lock on a lot of modern cold steel knives is a lot, you know, more easy to use. Here's a cold steel alloy, for example, has a lot of less spring tension, so it's really really easy to depress that lock bar. But this is one of the older models, so it is still very stiff after all these years. So it never broke in as well as some other cold steel models. But other than that, you know, this is a great, very great knife. I wish they would bring this back. This is the XL version of the Towelbar. Also on that one, just a huge knife here. This one I carried last summer a lot, but this summer I enjoy the standard, the large version much more. And yeah, has the thumb plate, Andrew Demko thumb plate, so it also waves out of the pocket. Yeah, it's truly a tactical knife, so to speak. Towelbar, so named after an Indian saber actually. I wish they would bring these back, and I wish they would make it like you know, like the cold steel Tiger Claw, so really thin construction. That would be awesome if they would do this, and obviously in a newer, you know, more, in a, I wouldn't say better steel, but a steel that has more edge retention a little bit. Other than that, I usually like AUS 8, but cold steel's AUS 8 is, like I said, not the best one. It rolls very easily, it also chips very easily. I never liked cold steel's AUS 8, but this is still a great food slicer, for example. You can see the blade chip with the tight tip. It's very slicey. The design on this is amazing, in my opinion. So, next up we have, actually the last knife we have, is a French knife. And it's also a folder, it's a slip joint, but I never fold this slip joint. I just store it in the kitchen in like a wooden block. So the last time I folded this up was years ago. So actually if I try to fold it up, it's probably, you know, yeah, it's not very easy to fold this now. So if you do not use a slip joint, you know, open and close it for years, then it eventually becomes like a fixed blade. So everything in here, especially if you use it, gets skunked up, and you know. The reason I don't fold this is because I don't need to fold it. It stays in my kitchen every single day, and I use it there also every single day. And this knife sees a lot of use actually, and it's called the Gun Busk. So it's I think the company that makes these is also called Gun Busk. So it's a very tiny, I guess, I don't know that for sure, but I think it's a small family-owned business, and they don't make too many knives. I don't know. It's made of 12C27. It's not the best 12C27 that I've ever seen, but this knife has very, you know, good geometry. So it's very thin. It's like a 3mm blade stock, something like that, 2.8. And it's like 5 to 7 thousandths in the thicket section behind the edge. So this is like 0.14 to 0.17 millimeters behind the edge. And this knife has been resharpened a bunch of times, so it was even thinner from the beginning, because this is a flat grind, it's not a hollow grind. This is as flat as it gets. But yeah, very good geometry on that knife, really great performer. Shadagan is also like with the Towelbar and Indian saber originally. It looks like a big recurve blade, like essentially like a big kukri that's probably just a little bit thinner, but a big recurve blade basically. And this knife design appeared, I think, in the 19th century in France, and was used in the tobacco industry basically, if you can speak of industry at that time, but probably yes, yeah. So people that would cut up tobacco would use this kind of blade shape. I don't know why exactly, but yeah, very interesting. So the Basque region, southern France, on the border to Spain actually. And very elegant knife, very thin profile overall. These are olive wood handles, so Not wood is not my favorite to use in the kitchen because you know once it gets wet, it kind of fades out a little bit. But what I did is when it started to fade away from being wet getting wet every single day, so I just took some very fine sandpaper and smoothed it out a little bit, sanded it off, and then I took some oil, some wooden oil, and treated it with that. And now it kind of doesn't absorb the water as much anymore. Also it picks up the grease and oils from your hand. And this wood just looks amazing. It looks beautiful. It also smells beautiful. Has like brass pins. Some of them already started to patina up. Yeah, French knives are really awesome. The opening and closing is not the best from slip joints that you can get, but other than that they're great performers. This was a gift to me, so it means a lot to me. So I use it every single day and I am really happy with it. Yeah, so that was basically it, people. These are the 5 folders that I really enjoy right now. The Cadet I probably carry every single day, and then I combine it with a larger blade. Usually, like I said, this one I don't carry, I just use it in the kitchen. But yeah. So that's it, people. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a nice day. Goodbye.